is perfect. They can't even see. They'll just see me doing this.
This podcast is not for children. It's not for children. Today we're going to talk about monsters again.
That's not how we start this. And reset.
Keep all this in. I'm DK.
I'm Toby.
And today we are going to be talking about a couple of our favorite monsters, some different monsters, where tangents are encouraged. So, you want me to go?
Yeah, you can go first.
All right, I pulled the short stick. So, if you don't like snakes, you should skip ahead, because I'm going to talk about slithery boys. The Yuan-Ti specifically. Are you familiar with it?
Is it Yuan-Ti or Yuan-Ti?
Ooh. It's a made-up word, so I always go with however you want to say it. I say Yuan-Ti, because that's how I've learned to say it. I've heard Yuan-Ti, Yuan-Ti, Yuan-Tai, Yuan-Tai, somewhere in there. I say Yuan-Ti. You looking it up?
Yuan-Ti?
Boom. Google says I'm right.
That's Stack Exchange.
Okay. Well,
good enough.
It came up first on Google.
Yep.
So, do you know about the Yuan-Ti?
Very little. When I was playing in your campaign as my, I think it was a spore druid.
Yep.
We wrecked a bunch of them.
Yes. You were also pretty high level. The Yuan-Ti can be pretty nasty as far as their stat blocks and well, I guess their whole civilization is pretty nasty. So back thousands of years to the beginning of human existence on whatever plane it is you are on. We'll say the Forgotten Realms because that's pretty generic. Mm-hmm. The people that became the Yuan-Ti were like super advanced in their technologies. They made steel instead of iron, essentially.
Okay.
So they were able to push ahead a lot of other civilizations, and they became one huge city-state civilizations going on and on. It was the snake gods, so depending on your universe, it could be Seth, Dendar, the Night Serpent is really the most popular one. It was one of their gods. But it could also be like Hecate or Set if you're talking about real life mythology. Anyway, they gave them this snake magic where they basically taught them how to do these rituals. The rituals involved cannibalism.
As you do.
Human sacrifice. And then bathing in like the bloods of snakes and humans that turn you into these what are the Yuan-Ti? So snake people, Yuan-Ti come in many variations.
I just do that to get my red hair.
They come snake heads, snakes for arms, arms for snakes, bottom half is snakes, top half is snakes. They come in all kinds of variations. They're really ruthless as far as in-world practices. Like I said, cannibalism, the human sacrifices, they're usually evil, super evil. They can take just standard, regular humans and perform these rituals. It's actually laid out in some of the modules and in the monster manual, how to get these people. You can actually be a player race, so the Yuan-Ti Pureblood, which at one time was the most powerful race that you could select because it has...
It was immune to poison, right?
Immune to poison, but it also had the spell resistance or spell magic resistance.
Okay.
Where you had advantage on every roll
against
saving magic.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then they also had their bite attack, which is pretty good.
Yes. Yeah. And they can shapeshift into snakes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they were jam packed as far as being a player race. Yeah, so you got Yuan-Ti purebloods, which is going to be your human, someone who didn't do well in the ritual, essentially. It would be like a human with snake eyes or scaly skin or something like that. And then you move up to abominations that come in several different forms. So you could get ones that just have like snake heads. You could get ones that have snake, like whole snake bodies, and then just like with arms, basically.
Yeah, the ones with arms, if I remember correctly, don't they have like a reach of 15 feet or some craziness?
Yeah,
like that?
they can. Yeah, they can get pretty insane. They do a lot of constricting. That's what I was trying to think of. They can do a lot of constricting, so a lot of those abilities are pretty crazy because they can grapple you without using their hands, basically. They have special variations to like the abominations in Volo's Guide. 3 different kinds, I believe. All dedicated. They're like basically warlocks to one of the dedicated gods. So Seth, Dendar, and I can't think of the last one. Anyway, they give them different variations. So when you're using these in game as a dungeon master, you kind of have a broad field,
It's like a civilization, like you're saying.
Yeah,
so, like there's tons of.
So I mean, well, the purebloods I think are like 1 CR, and then abominations you're getting like 3 to 5. The warlock level abominations are getting you to like 7, and then their big boy. I'll put it up now. The anathema. So the anathema is someone who went through the process multiple times, usually from probably an abomination. And this is kind of how you get into godhood. It's their version, basically, of demigods, is that you would turn to this creature, an anathema, which is a huge, statistically huge creature with multiple heads, snake heads. If one of these makes it through the ritual and they actually survive, they kind of consider them like a demigod, like they are divine to them anyway.
Well, they also have the big snakes. Not giant constrictor snakes. There's the bone one.
Oh, the bone naga, the
yep.
guardian naga. Yeah. Those are often found together. Yes. Nagas are intelligent in their own right, so they're not always with them, but they can be. More I can't think of the evil naga. Is it the guardian naga? No, it's not guardian naga. I know there's like a skeleton naga, bone naga.
Yeah, bone.
Yeah, that one can be with them because it's easy to manipulate that one. But I know there's like the spirit and the guardian nagas. But yeah, often in their layers they do have some kind of creature like that they have, or something reptile or snake-like. So Hydra, they might have guarding the backside of their layer. As far as being in campaigns in 5th edition, they're heavily in Tomb of Annihilation.
There you go. There's your list of 5e.
Dark Naga. That's the one I was thinking of. That might team up with them.
That one?
Yep.
That thing looks sick.
Yep.
It's like a cobra.
Yeah, a lot of them have their like cobra hoods on them. At least the ones that have like ones that are the abominations. Sorry, they get things like the cobra hoods on them, and then it's just like their head. So it'd just be like a humanoid body, and then just like their head up is snake, and it's got this big, huge cobra fan on it.
Have you seen the Draco Hydra?
Yeah.
That thing's awesome.
Yes, that would be a good one to put in their layer.
Or what's that one? I'm pretty sure it's a fan-made one, or it's a Hydra with human heads. What is that stupid thing called?
I can't think of it. I know what you're talking about.
It makes you forget that you saw it.
It's stupid.
I love it. It's such a cool little. I've been thinking about just sprinkling that into my campaign somewhere. I don't know. It's a cool concept. It's hard to pull off, though.
For sure. Well, yeah, because then it's like, oh, you forgot you saw it, so then it's like...
Your character just left my game. It would have been perfect. Damn it.
You messed up. You messed up, Diego.
Oh, it would have been great.
Yeah, sorry, so, okay. Fifth edition campaigns, they're heavily in Tomb of Annihilation. Spoilers for Tomb of Annihilation. I think it's pretty prevalent. They're on the cover, I'm pretty sure. That they're featured in that. You know, they're very, ooh, I don't want to mess up my cultures here, so I'm not going to mention a culture. But they do build, like, step pyramid, usually, type structures, that look like that on the outside anyway, and then on the inside it's more like temple-like almost.
Well, there's a couple different. You're probably thinking Aztec or Mayan.
Yeah, something like that. I didn't want to mention one, but
yeah, I understand, but there are other pyramids throughout the world.
Yeah, for sure. I'm thinking like middle, like central to South America, like in their jungles is the kind of situation that you would find Yuan-Ti in.
Yep.
Where once they were a vast civilization, they've been dwindled down to basically nothing, hiding in secret cells across the world.
They're kind of like the from Warhammer, Total War series. It doesn't even have to be Total War. There's the what are they? The lizard race in that. Have you played Warhammer at all?
No, I'm not familiar.
There's a whole, like, if you ever play Total War and you're doing like that whole control army thing, one of the races you can pick in Warhammer 3, I think. It's you're literally playing as basically Yuan-Ti.
That's it.
And but they also get dinosaurs and stuff too, so it's kind of cool.
Okay. I mean, there's dinosaurs in Chult from Tomb of Annihilation. Yeah, so I mean, when using them, they're super. They're smart. That's like one of their key attributes is that they're intelligent. I think the player race gets an intelligence boost. So even though they were dwindled down to their minor societies, now that they got to basically hide in the ground so they're not killed outright. But they're very skilled at what they do. So an adventuring party goes missing in the jungle. It could have been Yuan-Ti if signs lead to intelligent peoples doing it. Super ambush-like. Even with their stat blocks, they have a lot of like pinning you down and getting you into a certain spot, spreading you out. They can like constrict you and then move away with you. So using them that way, I like using them for ambushes in that kind of situation. I have this idea that I haven't come to fruition yet, but a city that underneath the city is a civilization where they snake people.
I was about to make the joke of, so you're telling me lizard people rule the world?
I mean, they could. See, what they do is they'll have this civilization, right? So, say the civilization is underneath this city. Their anathema or their leader, which is like some top tier abomination usually, will kind of say how they want to control the city. Now, they might not come above and just start murdering people outright, because they want the supplies, they want resources that these people have. So what they'll do is they'll get these Yuan-Ti purebloods that look so much like people, there's almost no way to detect it. You can use minor magic to hide the shape of your eyes or whatever, and then they'll send those people above ground to like integrate themselves into the society there and get into places where they can use them.
Positions of power, basically.
Yeah. And then one of their big things is having like slaves and stuff. So they'll come up, maybe kidnap some people every once in a while. Real subtle, like, not a serial killer, like, obviously doing it level, but and then either make those people slaves, and then if they find them either strong enough or smart enough, they'll manipulate them, use their ritual magic to turn them into more these Yuan-Ti.
I'm a powerful wizard, and I have a solution. Just drop a bunch of frog myths underneath.
I mean, it could work. Could work as long as the Yuan-Ti don't overpower them.
Well, that was just the callback to your frog myth episode,
Yeah.
where we were talking about a powerful evil wizard could just destroy a city by putting a bunch of frog myths underneath, and they would eventually make their way up.
Mate like crazy, come up out of the ground, out of their metal tubes in the ground.
Yep,
it's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna dive into the stat block here. Any questions about the Yuan-Ti?
Not so far.
Okay.
I've been bringing it up as they come, basically.
Okay, yeah. It's one of my favorite, races, evil races. They're getting away from these evil races, but, you have, the orcs and the goblins that used to be, just considered evil races, right? But they were always really, people portrayed them as dumb or, savage.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I like the Yuan-Ti. They're not like that at all.
Mm-hmm.
They're presented as, refined, when you go into their temple, everything's, nice, and, there might be one or two messy rooms for their orgies or blood sacrifices, but other than that, the rest of their place is very nice.
That's what the mops are for. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, so I'm going to just bring up the stat block. I got the anathema here in front of me. So the six-headed snake person. And anathema is essentially just a really, really large abomination. It's kind of their end boss in standard 5th edition. It's their highest level that they have. So going through the stats real quick, it is a monstrosity, a shape changer, neutral evil. It's quick with a speed of 40. It can climb and swim.
Wait, the giant one can shape change?
I think they're just considered shape change. Oh, it can shape change, yes, but I think they're all considered.
Interesting.
The standard ones, because they can all turn into constrictor snakes.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So would that mean that they, what's that one spell? Moonbeam? Moon.
I think Moonbeam is it. Yeah.
So that would affect them pretty well.
Because it affects shape
changers. Yeah.
Yeah. You could use that on them then.
Huh. Okay.
As far as their attributes, like I said, they're really smart. So we're looking at a 19 intelligence. I'll just go through real quick. 23 strength, 13 dex, 19 con, 19 intelligence, 17 wisdom, 20 charisma. So
yeah, they're stacked.
Yeah. Perception 7, stealth 5, resistance to acid, fire, lightning, immunities to poison, and the poison condition. Blind sight up to 30 feet, dark vision of 60
That's
feet.
a biggie right there.
Passive perception of 17. Yeah, these guys are crazy. They're not really messing around with the anathema. It's a CR-12, so I mean it's a pretty formidable foe for most parties that are going to be out there. This for sure is talking about the action economy and actually in play usage. I think your party needs to be higher level. I mean, the challenge ratings aren't...
They're garbage.
Yeah, they are trash. The new book seems like it's got it locked down a little bit better, but it's still, you're never really going to know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is a pretty formidable foe for what it does have. 189 hit points, that's not really a joke. You're still got some hit points, but I think it's the kind of creature that you don't fight alone.
Yeah, it's going to have minions.
Yeah, it's definitely going to have a bunch of purebloods around, maybe a couple lieutenant abominations. It might have one of those spellcasters.
Mm-hmm.
Those spellcasters are not to be trifled with.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about, warlock spell slots, so it might only have 1 or 2 spell slots, but a darkness sphere around itself, I mean, you got to either counter it or dispel it. Otherwise, you're screwed. Well, if you happen to have any of those 3 abilities, which are not on every character, we're talking about a CR-12 with blind sight here. It could get rough. It can cast darkness on itself. Entangle, fear,
There's always a solution to a sphere of darkness. Fireball.
Well, yeah, this is true. This is true. But when you got fire resistance,
Oh, does it?
yeah,
Oh.
lightning resistance.
Okay, Scribe Wizard Fireball changing it to force damage.
Okay.
There we go.
Now we're talking. Now we're talking.
Just a loud explosion, no fire at all.
Which will drop me down after the spellcasting to its magic resistance.
There we go.
So advantage on all of its saves against magic. That's pretty rough.
What's its armor class?
16.
Okay.
So it's not super hard to hit. It is a big ass snake, so
Yeah.
but I still think it's not bad. And it's still got a couple more resistances here, and then I'll get down to its action. So, Ophidiophobia, Aura, which is the fear snakes. It has an ability to basically make you afraid to it, DC 17 Wisdom saving throw, or be frightened of snakes and the Yuan-Ti. So not only just itself, but any snakes that it has with it, any Yuan-Ti, you're feared from all of them.
I feel like, speaking of fear, I feel like fear in 5th edition isn't as good as it should be.
Okay.
Because, like, there's some people, like, when they're scared of something, like, they just start swinging, or there's people that are scared of something and they just lock down and they can't do anything. And then there's people that have fear and they'll just turn and run. You know?
Well, okay, yeah, because fear, the spell fear, actually makes you turn and run. Frightened condition, I think, just, like, locks you down. Or you can't move any closer.
You can't move any closer, and as long as the thing you're afraid of is within your line of sight, you have disadvantage on attacks.
That's pretty good against this, though. I mean, this against a party of players, and even if you hit half that party of players,
and they're surrounded
by all snake creatures, you can't move, and
you have disadvantage
on all attacks as long as they're anywhere near you. That's rough. That could be rough. It is a shape changer, so it can turn into a huge giant constrictor snake. The constrictor snakes aren't that powerful, but they can grapple amazingly. So there's that.
Huge giant.
Yes. So the size category, huge giant constrictor snake.
It's just weird saying a huge giant.
Yeah, I don't know what size giant constrictor snake comes in at.
I think it's. I'll look it up.
Okay. I'm just gonna move to the next one. We'll come back to that. So it has the ability called Six Heads. The anathema has advantage on perception checks and on saving throws against being blinded, charmed, deafened, frightened, stunned, or knocked unconscious.
Jesus. It is huge, by the way. The constrictor snake.
Okay, that's weird that it would be redundant then. It takes an action to polymorph into that snake. But yeah, all those resistances, all those advantages against all those different conditions, that's pretty good. Charmed and stunned, specifically, because those, I would say, are used by players, at least that I've seen a fair bit. And then going down to its actions, so it can make 2 claw attacks, 1 constrict attack, and 1 flurry of bites attack, all in one turn.
Jesus.
So it's claw. It's not huge, but it's plus 10, 2d6, plus 6. The constrict part is the part that's going to be the part that's going to get you, because once it has you, then you're it's got you. So plus 10 to the hit on 1 large or smaller creature. 3d6 plus 6 bludgeoning plus 2d6 acid, and then the target is grappled with the DC 16 escape save. Until the grapple ends, the target is restrained and takes 3d6 plus 6 bludgeoning damage plus 7 acid damage at the start of each of its turns. And the anathema can't constrict another target, but it can make its other attacks. And that's the part that you have to be worried about.
Especially if it goes all after the one it's currently constricting.
Yeah. Oh yeah, if it did that, it gets, what, advantage on every attack against it.
Well, what's the... Is it just grappled?
It becomes grapple, and then becomes restrained.
Then yes, it would get advantage on everything.
Yeah, the restrained part is where it really lives its ability. And then the last bit of it is the flurry of bites. So instead of just making a bunch of small attacks, it just makes 1 big attack. So plus 10 to hit, reach with 10 feet. That's not bad. But then it does 66 plus 6 piercing damage plus 46 poison damage.
There you go.
So, I mean, at advantage, that's almost going to hit you for sure. On average, 27 plus 14.
It's not bad.
That's not bad at all. Now, I wouldn't say this is the most powerful CR12, but I think
with minions
and, you know, playing it at a 19 intelligence, like, it's extremely, extremely smart, very tactical. I think that it, on the battlefield, is definitely something I wouldn't mess with.
I'm just picturing, like, a group getting into one of these temples, having fought their way, you know, being fairly wounded as is, and, like, they're making their way through a tunnel and their perception isn't good enough, and the last person in the group, a tail just comes down and constricts them around the mouth and just pulls them up. Yeah. Done. They're gone.
Yeah, I'm thinking the snake, the miniature doesn't do it that well justice, but I'm thinking the snake is long, like.
I mean, it's coiled in the miniature down at the bottom, so, like, how many feet would that be? Because it's already, a normal miniature comes up to, like, maybe here or so.
Yeah.
So this coiled up at the bottom is at least 2, maybe 3 minis. So it's long. It's a long guy.
I'm putting it at 100 feet. The longest snakes in the world, are reticulated pythons, and they often come somewhere between 20 to 25 feet. I'm putting it in a theme at 100 feet.
Jesus.
Easily.
Well, that just means that if it's not coiled up, players can hack at it from 100 feet away.
No. Yeah, but it's quick. So if I was using it, I'd put it in a temple, but I'd put it in like a throne room where the throne is elevated a little bit off the ground, and maybe there's a few platforms around, but otherwise it's the whole layer is submerged in, I don't know, 5 feet of water.
So players moving around slow, half speed, and that thing's moving at full speed.
Yes.
I like it.
And
then you have a bunch of poisonous snakes under the water coming after them.
Oh, yes. Now we're thinking. A couple giant constrictors. They're pretty low CR. Throw in one of their Yuan-Ti spellcasters.
There's also flying snakes. Got to get them in there.
Ooh, flying snakes are good.
Do they have a swarm of them?
Swarm of flying snakes? I mean, you could put one together. I don't think it would be that hard.
Add poison damage to a normal
bat, or is a swarm of bats with poison damage on it?
That would work.
Ooh. I do want to run one of these. Every time I get into Tomb of Annihilation, the game kind of falls apart. I think that the jungle part is hard to DM through. I try to do it fairly systematic and really quick the last time I played through it. But by the time usually you get through it, it's just hard to keep playing. The game takes a total dramatic shift. So spoilers for Tomb of Annihilation. You travel through the jungles. Just like traveling. There's a few stops here and there, but it's like hundreds of miles of jungle. And then you get to this location. It's like a ancient city. Spoilers. And then the game shifts tones like heavily, and it goes into like super puzzly and like traps and stuff like that. And then these snakes come up, and they're always my favorite part, but a lot of my games get shut down right about the time we're getting to the snakes or just after the snakes because, I don't know. I think it's just a module. Maybe it's how I'm DMing it. It could be me. I don't want to put it on the people at Wizards, but it is often reviewed poorly. So, that's my snakes. I got my snake out of the way. Right.
Yeah, I like designing encounters around, like, specific monsters that, they, like, it doesn't specifically say it might, that they're, the boss, but you can take any creature and change them slightly, or even just adding, like you were saying, the minions around them of, like, lesser CR ones. Now they are a boss because of the support that they're getting.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, on its own, it wouldn't take much to take it out. But I think systematically, how it's supposed to be used, with its like society and civilization backing it up, you can make a pretty good encounter with it.
One of these times I got to do the bugbear variants too. If you've read any of them,
so a little bit of all the goblins, but
bugbear, goblin,
bugbears are goblins.
Are they?
They're goblinoid.
I didn't realize that.
Goblins, bugbears, and hobgoblins. Hobgoblins are like their strategic tacticians.
Mm-hmm.
Bugbears are like their shock troops and assassins, and then goblins are fucking goblins. Cannon fodder.
Yeah. But like, I think there's like 4 or 5, maybe even 6 different bugbear variants, and like there's the bugbear chieftain. Obviously, that's supposed to be the leader, but there's also a bugbear caster, which I'm pretty sure is a higher CR than the chieftain. So it's like, I reskinned them for a recent encounter against my party. I just used them and called them goblins, like actual size goblins, because they were going against like corrupted goblins, and obviously there's no corrupted goblin stat block in anything. So I just used those stat blocks, and it was kind of cool seeing the different variants, and just, you pick one and go, all right, you're the leader now. How are you going to use everything else? All right, they would do this, blah, 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 and now that CR5 creature with a bunch of minions having them do the correct things, it's probably closer to like a CR8 or 9, you know?
For sure.
But all right, so the monster I brought to the table today is a Faerie dragon. I don't have a mini for this one, but the Faerie dragon, I didn't realize it was a tiny creature even when fully grown. It's a CR1 for the first part of its life, and it changes into a CR2 depending on its age and color. I also didn't realize they change color based on age.
Okay, cool.
So if you see a red Faerie dragon, it's 5 years or younger. Orange is 6 to 10. Yellow is 11 to 20. Green is 21 to 30. Blue is 31 to 40. Indigo is 41 to 50. And violet is 51 and older.
How old do they get? Does it say?
Nope. No.
I'm thinking they probably get a decent age.
Nope, does not say.
Okay.
I'm assuming since they're dragons, they can probably live...
Yeah, well, and fairies.
Exactly, they can probably live for basically ever. But to go along with their changing of colors, they do get, here that is, innate spellcasting with a charisma save of 13, which not crazy high, but also CR2.
Right.
As the dragon ages and changes colors, it gains additional spells as shown. So for if it's just a red, it gets Dancing Lights, Mage Hand, and Minor Illusion, and that's 1 per day each. When it becomes orange, and these are all 1 per day, it gets Color Spray. Yellow is Mirror Image. Green is Suggestion. Blue is Major Image. Indigo is Hallucinatory Terrain.
Ooh, that's a good one.
And then violet is Polymorph, which that's a biggie.
Oh, that is a good one.
So CR2 with all of those spells, kind of crazy. But it also doesn't say... It says it gains additional spells as shown. So does that mean it gets to keep all of the previous spells? Yeah, that's
what it sounds like to me.
So I feel like CR2 may be a little low if it has all of that stuff.
Wow. Yeah.
But it is stereotypically chaotic good, so it loves playing jokes and being a little trickster. In fact, one of its things is Invisible Trickster. The only warning of a fairy dragon's presence is a stifled giggle. The dragon stays out of sight, watching invisibly as its victims contend with its pranks. When its fun is done, the dragon might reveal itself depending on the disposition of its prey. It's not there to hurt you, really. It's there to just mess with you. And it does have superior invisibility. This is crazy. As a bonus action, the dragon can magically turn invisible until its concentration ends, as if concentrating on a spell. Any equipment the dragon wears or carries is invisible, which is greater invisibility.
Yeah.
So it can still cast spells and not have to worry about it, as long as it's not concentrating. But just going through the stat block real quick. Tiny Dragon, Chaotic Good, Armor Class of 15, 44 plus 4 hit points, an average of 14. 10-foot walking speed and a fly speed of 60, so it's moving around pretty quick.
Yeah, I'd say.
3 strength, 20 dexterity, 13 con, 14 intelligence, 12 wisdom, and a 16 charisma. It does have skill proficiencies, Arcana of 4, Perception of 3, and Stealth of 7. Dark Vision to 60, Passive Perception of 13. It knows Draconic and Sylvan. Obviously, you can change that to be able to talk to, whatever it's picking on.
Just Draconic and Sylvan?
Yep. Yeah, weird, no common, right?
Actually, well, I mean, it is weird, yes, but I kind of like that. Where it's like this creature. I like the idea of having a creature not all the time be able to speak the same language. I mean, if someone happens to have Draconic, which is fairly popular.
Yeah.
Which I also like, too, having characters that have to specialize to speak, like they have to speak for the whole party. It can be annoying at the table to kind of like roleplay, but it gives that player like a little special moment to have. But also the fact that if they don't speak that language, then a creature can like, oh, we can't understand each other, so you have to use some kind of interpretation, body language, and like hand signals and stuff like that too.
Well, the Faerie Dragon also has limited telepathy. The dragon can magically communicate with any other fairy dragon within 60 feet of it, so they can coordinate pranks.
There you go.
But I feel like the older fairy dragons, like they're getting 51 and older, and they're running into people that don't understand their language, they'd probably start to try to learn other languages so they can understand, like it says up here, the disposition of their prey. They're just little tricksters, but they have magic resistance, just like yours, so they have advantage on saving throws against spells and other magic effects.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I don't think you'd probably ever run into this, but they do have a bite attack. It's a melee, 5 feet, plus 7 to hit. The target creature takes 1 piercing damage.
Yeah. Yeah.
It does have a breath weapon, Euphoria Breath.
Alright.
The dragon exhales a puff of euphoria gas as one creature within 5 feet. Oh, one creature, wow. Must succeed at a DC 11 wisdom saving throw, or for 1 minute the target can't take reactions and must roll a d6 at the start of each of its turns to determine its behavior for the turn. 1 to 4, the target takes no action or bonus action and uses all of its movement to move in a random direction. Fairly standard for that type of effect. And 5 to 6, the target doesn't move, and the only thing it can do on its turn is make a DC 11 Wisdom saving throw, ending the effect on itself on success. Honestly, those sound a little boring. I might split up the 1 to 2 to have like a 3 or 4. They just sit there and laugh, something like that.
Yeah, Puff the Magic Dragon.
Exactly.
Wow.
That's everything about the Fairy Dragon. There's a little bit more. The Fairy Dragon, it's friendly and bright, so again, it's chaotic good. It's not there to, permanently maim. It's there to have a good time, basically. Has a sharp mind, a fondness for treasure and good company, and a pukish sense of humor. Travelers can play to a Fairy Dragon's draconic nature by offering it treasure in the form of sweets, baked goods, and baubles in exchange for information or safe passage through its territory. So, even though it's a tiny dragon, it still has a territory. I could totally see them teaming up with maybe some sort of metallic dragon of good nature. Yeah. A more whimsical one that just wants to mess with people and have a good time and hear the stories of the fairy dragons when they come home.
Yeah, what is that, brass?
A lot of them actually like stories like that.
Yeah. I think the brass is the one, or maybe it's copper.
Gold does as well.
I think it's brass. Well, they like, I don't know, manipulate you to come to their lair and like sit there and listen because they just like to talk. So maybe that's someone that would have a fairy dragon on hand as like a friend or a minion or something.
I could see them having a whole swarm of them.
Yeah.
But even in my campaign, the gold dragon in the Druids Grove, they that's who you see in your dreams, and they bless you with good dream or good sleep if you can tell them interesting stories. Yeah, so I feel like that'd be a pretty decent little combination. It's not a big threat. It's not like a crazy, it's going to kill your party type creature. It's more of a, your party's been in slogging through a bunch of badness for a long time, and you're like, you know what? They need to relax a little bit. They're going to run into a fairy dragon, you know?
It's an NPC.
Exactly.
Yeah, it only has a stat block because players.
Yep. Murder hobos. That's why.
Yeah.
And if it's doing like little tricks, you need to have a DC for them to try to save.
I suppose.
But
a couple questions about it.
Mm-hmm.
Hit points. What are we looking at?
14 average is 44 plus 4.
Okay.
Yeah, so it can get sneezed on and die.
Yeah, really easy. And then, is it a fairy or a dragon?
Tiny dragon.
Okay. All right. Respectable.
Even though fairy is in its name.
Well, yeah. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Very, very simple little creature here. It's more of a just have fun with it type thing.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, it's more of an NPC. I think I know of it in 2 different modules. So, spoilers for those. Dungeon of the Mad Mage.
You keep bringing that up.
Yeah, well, that's because it's in there. But the thing about it is, there's something... I don't know the exact details because I haven't run the module, but I know of the situation because I've read this part of it, where you're normal size, but it makes you tiny. And like, I think you go into this house that's tiny. I can't remember exactly. It's something about making the characters really, really small.
That's
so when
awesome.
you see the fairy dragon,
it's giant.
It's huge.
It's a giant dragon.
Yeah, it's like the size of a regular dragon. So there's that situation, and then it also pops up in, of course, Wild Beyond the Witchlight.
Of course, it has to.
Right.
Which, do you have that book?
Wild Beyond the Witchlight? Yes.
Worth it?
Huh?
Worth it?
I bought the Beetle and Grimm's box set, so yeah.
Okay. I've been thinking about getting that one. I don't have that one up there yet.
Yeah, I'm running it for my kids, so it's a very like lighthearted,
whimsical kind of.
Yeah. Alice in Wonderland meets Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I might have to grab that because they're making best friends with Yuan.
Yeah.
So that might be something that I could kind of transition into if Yuan lets them use the portal to go to the Feywild or whatever.
Yeah, you would definitely want to scale it up.
Yeah?
The campaign in the beginning actually mentions that you don't have to use any combat. There doesn't need to be any combat in the module at all. I would say that it is scaled still for low level play, pretty low level play. Maybe it ends at 8.
Oh, that's what they're at right now.
Yes.
So
yeah. Yeah.
And they're probably going to be getting 9 pretty soon.
Yeah.
So if you guys watch, bring that up, and I'll just let it happen. Just saying. And again, this one probably won't come out until after they're 9 anyways. But you know what? Should start doing that for the players. Like, hey, somewhere in the video is a code, and if you tell me the code, I'll give you something. You know.
There you go. There you go. The code for this one is tell him the code. Tell him the code. Tell him code.
The word code with a.
He'll give you something.
A level.
There you go.
That's a big deal right there.
Yeah, it's all snap.
But yeah, I like the fairy dragon. Have you used it in any of your campaigns or anything?
No. Like I said, I'm running Wild Beyond the Witchlight, so I do know the specific fairy dragon there. Like, it has a name, and it it's an NPC. It's not a creature to fight or like ward off. It's a situation you have to encounter. So I am aware of that one, but don't think I've ever used them before. It's always been kind of an interesting creature to me, but I don't know. I just haven't come across it. I don't usually tell like whimsical stories. It's kind of my first one. I tell pretty dark, depressing things. So
I might have a couple of them slip through Yuan's portal one day, so they'll come back and like it'll just be chaos happening with these invisible dragons pranking everything everywhere.
Yes.
A little mini adventure inside the grove.
There you go. Give them a break from
the constant torture.
Cold, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Anything else on the Faerie Dragon?
That's it. That's the whole Faerie Dragon.
All right, I think that's going to be it for us today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below about a Faerie Dragon or the Yuan-Ti that you've used in your campaign. You could also drop a comment for another monster you maybe want us to talk about, something to go a little bit more in depth on. Other than that, you can have a great game.
Have a good day.